Hello, everyone. Oh, my God. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Honey, We're Home. This is Nicole. I'm not dying. I'm just over a sickness last week, so please bear with me. But today I'm so excited. Maybe I'll just, when I talk at a very high octave and my voice sounds good, so I'm just going to sound like an opera singer this whole episode. I'm so excited to be here in the studio with my guest, Kate Lombardo. She's the yoga director at YogaRenew. She's a money mindset mentor, and she's a mama of two. Kate, I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We've gotten the voice out of the room. We're just going to.
It happens.
You told me to lean into my Phoebe from Friends sexy phlegm, so I'm going to do that.
It's the way to do it, right?
So friends, some of my friends over the weekend were like, I don't know, I like it. I love when I lose my voice. And I was like, okay, yes, to some extent, but not to
not
this.
when I have to do that.
Not like this bad. I mean, now it's okay, but whatever. We'll get over the voice. Yeah. So first of all, how are you? And like when I say that, I mean, how are you really? Because I like to ask moms that during the holidays because this time can be insane for you guys.
So I'm good now, actually. That's such a nice question. I feel like no one ever asked that. But my kids were, to be honest, like the start of December, they were both sick. My son got like tubes put in his ears, and my daughter had an ear infection.
No.
And at the same time, you're supposed to be like, and now it's Christmas magic, and there's an elf on the shelf and all the things.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I just haven't slept in like 10 days. But they're good now. We're coming off days of everyone healthy. I'm rested
good.
finally.
Same.
So much better.
Yay. Okay. Same. Even though I don't sound like it, but wait. Okay. Good. Because literally like this time of year, I'm not a mom yet, but I cannot imagine. Like you said, you're trying to be Santa. You're trying to work. You're trying to make the Christmas magic happen for your whole family.
Well, and like my son is 4.5. This is the first year that I think he's aware of like other kids talking about Christmas, you know, like I feel like when they're really little, they're like, cool, Santa. But he came home from school. We hadn't done like the elf on the shelf thing. I just didn't, I don't know. I'm like, that's like an extra thing. Like we're good. And
it's a lot.
Like,
it's a
you know, my friend at school, Santa sent an elf to our house. And then he's like, and then my friend Luca, like going to his house and Santa sent him an elf. I wonder if he's going to send us one. And I was like, well, Mommy's going to go on Target right now. We'll have an elf by Friday.
Santa's going to send an elf.
So yeah, it's like, it's a lot, but it's fun.
Oh my God. I'd be like Luca's mom. God damn it. Curse you. So we're going to talk about all interesting things today. When I met you, wait, we actually have to get into that real quick because I met you at a wellness. I'm all about wellness, contrary to what it sounds like. I'm like, wellness? I'm all about wellness recently, like a lot. And when I met you, we met at this wellness summit in Hoboken that you were a speaker on. Yep. I said right away, she needs to have a podcast. You were just so like motivational. All the speakers were.
That was a fun event.
Really? Yeah. Like you just like, I just remember had the best things to say. And you were one of the people that had the Hatch alarm clock, right?
Yes. Because I have it for my kids. Like I found out about it first for my kids because it's a sound machine. And then by default, also got one for myself.
Oh my God, I love that. Wow, you know you're successful when your kids also have a Hatch. No, so you were one of the people that convinced me to finally get it.
So good.
Can I just say this morning it woke me up with the most insane. I tried this alarm out for the first time. It was like thank God for Monday. And it was like a club in my room. I was like, my dog and I were like, what the fuck?
What's happening?
My husband was out of town. So literally I was like, what is going on? It was like a pump up, like Jersey Shore club.
That's what I get. I mean, I guess to start on Monday. No, I just like the light part of it for like is like for me an easier.
Mine was like a fist pumping song. It was insane. I highly recommend if you like need energy
first thing.
It's called like I Love Monday.
Scary or no?
It was a little alarming, terrifying.
Yeah, when it started.
I posted on my Insta story and like on a whim if you want to go here today. Okay, so so we met there. You told me you had this like rock solid morning routine. I remember you were just so. What is the morning routine?
Yeah, so it's that event. It was. I feel like that you asked that question. I think right about the morning routine thing,
and I liked yours.
Yeah, so. Mine has to be simple because, like I said, like my kids sometimes are up. Like I don't have time. I used to before I had kids. Like I had this very long, lengthy one, but now it's like 10 minutes if I'm lucky. But I just like to start something where it's like before I let the world in, I have like a minute for myself. So mine is I wake up, actually like gua sha on my face first thing in the morning. I don't think I said that there, but that's like step one for me is like as I'm brushing my teeth, like a quick gua sha on my face.
No wonder you look snatched
thank you.
all the time. I need to really, I bought a gua sha and I just haven't been able to like consistently use it, but everybody swears
Once
by
I
it.
like formed the habit, now if I don't do it, I feel like I look like a puffy mess in the morning. So, so I start with that, but then it's pretty simple. I light a candle, burn some sage usually because it just like chills me out. Put on some relaxing music. I do 5 deep breaths, so nothing too extensive. A quick I like go through gratitude stuff, like things that I'm grateful for to start the day off.
Just in your head?
Just in my head, yeah. Like just here's the things I'm grateful for.
Love it. Simple.
And then a couple minutes, like literally a minute or two of just like quietly sitting, kind of whatever comes up. And then for me, the next 5 minutes, it changes. But I like to call it like my 5 minutes of like intuitive inspiration. A lot of times for me, I like to pull cards and stuff because I like can lean into some of the witchy stuff. To just like connect to intuition, all that. But sometimes it's 5 minutes of reading an inspirational book or a book I've done at times, like an inspirational quote thing. I wish I was more into journaling. I like aspire to that. I have about 7,000 journals that have like 2 pages that are like, I'm going to start being good at journaling. And then that's it.
Same.
Sometimes I'll do like some kind of journaling, but for me, it's mostly some kind of pulling cards or reading a book, and then that's it. Like 10 minutes just to get it started. Simple.
I love that.
Easy.
What time is all of this at?
Ideally, like 6:15, but if I'm honest, 6:45. A lot of in the winter. I think my kids are starting to sleep. But my daughter, who's 2, has always been in bed. Like she's like body clock. She was like a dream baby, like 7:30, 7:45. My son has been an early riser since he woke, but now that he's a little older, he'll wake up and play in his room for a half hour, so I can do more the 6:45.
Okay.
I aspire to be a 6 a.m. wake up person.
Listen,
but
at one point in life, somehow, same. At one point, I was like a 5:30 a.m. waker-upper, and it lasted for like 2 months, I'm sure. But it's just sometimes your body just, especially as a mom and a full-time career.
I think we'll probably talk about some of this, but I was a high school teacher for 5 years, and I had to be up by 5:30 because I had to be out the door by 6:30 to commute and get there by whatever 7:30, 7:15. And honestly, for 5 years, I like think a lot of what I wasn't happy with was like I just naturally am not like I want to be, but I'm just not. Like I'm not. I would wake up and every time I'm like I just shouldn't be up right now. Yeah. My body hates it.
You either are or you aren't. And I've learned that like you can be more productive if you just give yourself that extra 30 minutes. If you just like
sure.
Your time is actually better spent than like pushing yourself to wake up that early and then you're like moving slow as molasses.
And I was like miserable the whole time. Like if I just wait until 6:30, I'm significantly happier.
Well, I love that. And that your morning routine, I like that it's like simple enough. You don't need all these tools and gadgets and everything. You're doing things in your head. You do have your cards and stuff, but it's just, I think that's so important. Like that you and the other people on this wellness panel, that the podcast, actually the listeners will probably laugh because I literally reference this wellness panel all the time. I like I don't know why that night like changed my life.
I'm so glad.
But I'm always like that wellness event I went to. But you guys like, there's always like a common denominator with the most successful people is that like you have some form of a morning routine. So that's why I'm obsessed with that.
And I think I felt so long like I had like a very love-hate relationship with meditation for a while because I felt like it was this thing where people were like, well, you need 20, 25 minutes and you can do a guided thing. And I was like, I can't. Like I just, 1, don't have the time, and 2, it just never clicked for me. And it wasn't until someone was like, you don't have to do it that way. Like you can make it a more quote unquote like active morning routine and still have it be intentional. Yeah. That's when I was actually able to form the habit because I had tried and I would go in and out. And finally when I was like, let me just, and it's evolved over time, right? To like be something that works more for me. But I think the reading of something or like eventually the card stuff like that, it was like me doing something rather than just feeling like obligated to sit for 20 minutes in silence. Yeah. And that's when I was like, oh, actually, this.
I love that because it is its own form of meditation.
Yeah.
When you're like doing things, but you're still very like mindful.
And sometimes if I have time, it can be longer. That's the thing too, is I can do it in 10 minutes, but then on a good Sunday when my husband takes the kids, I'm like, oh, I have like 20 minutes and I can sit and do whatever. So
and when you're doing all of this, you haven't touched your phone.
Not like I mean, I do use it for music, but I have a very specific like meditation playlist. So I keep my phone on sleep mode. So like, no, it's it's like do not disturb, but you can set it every night. And I keep it on sleep so that it's literally that I just open it, click to get the music and start that.
Oh, wow. I love that. I really need to. I have a phone addiction and it's bad. And I've been getting better recently, but like my morning routine lately, it's getting like interjected with my phone and scrolling. Like I'll be like, why am I scrolling on like this girl from high school? Like
first thing in the morning.
Like it's 7 a.m.
That's like kind of where this came from for me though, because I started to realize that I was doing that. And I was like, this is not like a helpful way for me to start my day. Is like exactly like an opinion from someone I haven't seen in 20 years.
Truly?
I don't need to like know about her vacation to Disney.
No, this morning I'm dead ass at 7 a.m. When I'm busy, I'm already behind. I'm supposed to be walking my dog, doing my journaling stuff. For some reason, tell me why I was on not Alex Earl's best friend's Instagram. like stalking her life and then comparing myself and to this like 23-year-old.
Right. And you're like
what?
This doesn't, I know. I know.
Like, this is
and
so
that's
dumb.
when I was like, okay, but I did this years ago. I did a positive psychology training.
Ooh,
and
gimme.
It was so good. It was like a 10-month certificate program.
Okay.
And
commitment.
It was mostly online though. So it was a week retreat to kick us off. Then it was a cohort that went through it. We did it online and then it ended with a retreat. But one of the things they talked about in terms of developing this idea of a ritual versus a habit and how can you start to create healthy rituals. And so meaning like, a ritual is like brushing your teeth. You don't have to think about it. You're not like waking up and like, all right, guys, let me gear up to try to get my teeth brushed, right? Like it's just something that you do. And they say it takes 30 days to create a habit and 6 months, I think. 3 to 6 months. I forget actually. But like to create a ritual. And so they challenged us. It was like you do something for 30 days and create the habit and then try to stick with it. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to finally commit to this meditation thing. And it was at that time that I was like, it's not productive for me to start on my phone. I can do anything for a month. Like it's 1 month for 10 minutes a morning, like really. Yeah. And I created the habit. And then over time now it's just like kind of becomes one of those things where it feels like brushing my teeth where I'm like, oh, yep, this is just like part of, like, habits I think take a little, but the ritual piece, I was like, oh, I like the split in this definition. Yeah. Because habits are like, oh, I'm going to create a gym habit, but you can fall in and out of habits. But rituals are like, you always shower, you always brush your teeth. How do you make something like, exactly. Part of that. So
I'm like, breathing is a ritual.
Breathing is my ritual.
I'm already practicing. No, I love that. That just motivated me. I'm going to do the habit and then make it a ritual.
There we go.
So you have just like a fascinating backstory, I feel like, that led to you being so like successful and driven and motivated right now. So can we just hear about that? Like you mentioned you were a teacher and you're not now.
I'm not
Unless
now.
You probably are, honestly. You're a woman of many hats. You probably still are too.
No, yeah. So going actually way back kind of to the beginning, when I graduated college, I moved to the city to try to be an actress. Like I wanted to do theater and all that.
I could see you still doing it.
Thank you. Yeah, maybe one day.
You never know.
But when I was here for like living in the city for a few months and my lung collapsed actually, which was like a kind of by like totally random thing. I was like 22. This was pre-Affordable Care Act and I didn't have health insurance because it was like the second I graduated college, aging myself right now, I like got dropped my parents' health insurance.
Yep.
And it wasn't great. Wouldn't recommend it. I had like tens of thousands of dollars of medical debt, like all this stuff. So in trying to figure all that out, I was like, I need something really stable. Mm-hmm. And I became a high school English special ed teacher. I was an English minor in college. So I was able to get my certificate and do that. And I remember when I signed my contract that I was like, oh, not supposed to do this, but I knew in my gut that was not going to be my forever thing. But I also was like in a very fear-based place where like my whole life had just been turned upside down. And so I did it anyway.
Yeah.
And I loved teaching. Like I loved working with the kids. I think it's literally the most important job on the planet because you're quite literally affecting the lives of like the next generation of people. And I think to be really good at it, you have to really, like for the long haul, you have to really, really love it. Yeah. And I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I like watched teachers who were older than me who were at that 25-year mark. And I was like, you're miserable. And I just can't do that forever.
I mean, God bless them. Like you said, it's the most important job. The ones that love it and are good at it, like are literal geniuses. Because I could never.
No,
but like it just looks so exhausting.
It's exhausting, and it just wasn't for like I liked it, but didn't love it enough to deal with like the bullshit that comes with it. You know, and you're like overworked, underpaid, all the stuff, and so. I did it for 5 years, and in that time, I was also like, okay, I'm not really the happiest version of myself. Like, what can I do? And I started doing yoga when my lung collapsed, actually. And while I was like going to yoga, seeking the answer to find happiness, I felt like it was literally like the universe speaking to me. It was like, oh, you should be a yoga teacher. And I was like, oh, I'm like going to do this thing, trying to figure this out. So while I was teaching high school, I did my yoga teacher training. And when I graduated, I just quit my job, which like I don't necessarily recommend the exact route that I took where I had no plan. I was like, I'm just not doing this anymore. I mean, I finished at the school year. It was like the end of the year. And I was like, I'm just not going to go back. And I had like waitressed my whole, like, even like in the summers, I had waitressed. I had planned to be, I knew that I was like, I just need to make enough money to like replace my teaching income. And I don't care what needs to happen to do that. I'll go back to anything. And so I quit and just started pursuing teaching yoga and also learning about anything and then everything about like business wise that I could. So I went back. I had like 16 jobs at the time. I was, you know, the front desk person at a yoga studio. I was doing freelance writing and marketing for a digital marketing agency, teaching yoga like 11 classes a week, and just in that hustle season of like figure it out. And over time, I learned a lot about business and marketing and started putting the pieces together and ended up like going from like a solopreneur full-time yoga teacher to then opening 2 studios in Hoboken that we had before the pandemic. And then we were the first ones to get closed in the country when all that happened because Hoboken closed down before New York City, like the day before.
Oh, I remember this.
And they closed yoga studios and gyms before the bars. So we were like in our yoga studio teaching, and the police came up and were like, your business is closed.
Oh my God. In the middle of a class?
It was like right at the end of the day.
Oh, okay.
But it was like, also 2 weeks before my son was born. So I was like 36 weeks, I think, pregnant at the time. And they like came, closed us down. And it was crazy. So we closed those during the pandemic and like shifted our focus to being online. Luckily for us, we had actually launched a digital course in 2019. I was very passionate about online learning. I did that positive psychology program and knew that was something I wanted to do. So we had like a little bit of a head start, and just had the feeling that like that was going to need to be a main focus. And so in that, we really put our focuses there. YogaRenew had a training that was up and running, but they like needed to kind of reconfigure a lot. And so we joined forces and kept our studio team there. And now it's like all a new iteration. Yeah. So
that's so smart. You had the online thing already like going before. And the online thing that I'm referring to, that's YogaRenew as the platform training other people to be instructors.
We have digital courses that train people to become yoga teachers, and then continuing ed stuff for yoga teachers. We also have an online app for people to practice and take classes and do more like little lifestyle courses, 2 or 3 hour sound healing or you know, I have a vision boarding course and stuff like that. Yeah, it's really fun, our Ether app. So we're evolving with all of it. And now we do also like kind of full circle. We have a physical like public facing yoga studio again too in Hoboken. That is half of it's our recording studio for our online stuff, and then half of it you can come and actually take yoga classes with us. So it's great. Yeah.
And you have partners that do this with you and everything?
Yes. I have my long-term business partner, like who we did the previous yoga studios with. We still teach together. He's wonderful. And then a team of teachers and all of that. So it's great. Yeah.
Look at you.
Super lucky.
Literally, this is just like, I know, thank you for telling me all that, by the way. I just sat back and listened and made you, but you make it sound like so easy. It's just like went from, and I know it probably wasn't, but like truly it does. Like you said that you quit your teacher job without knowing that you could replace that income, but it sounds like you had these things in the works already, which is like amazing.
Yeah.
What was that transition like? Like, were you super scared? Obviously, like you said, it was with the pandemic. Like,
leaving my high school teaching job. So I left that job in 2015. So it was like 5 years before then, like we closed down. And I rushed over that part. But I wasn't actually scared that I feel like I was in that environment where people are like, well, how are you gonna buy a house? And like, I was like, I don't need to buy a house yet. I don't really care about, like, to me, when it comes to any type of like defining success for yourself, I was like, I need to wake up and feel good every day. I'm not attached to like what that looks like on paper for other people, where it's like, buy a house, have kids by this age, like have X in your 401k. I was like, I just don't really give a shit about any of that if I'm miserable.
What is it to you? Like, what does the success look like to you, or what did it look like to you?
So for me, the smallest like thing actually when I first quit my job, I think I might have said this actually at that wellness event, was that I felt like my biggest win was not having to rush out the door in the morning for breakfast. And that happens like right away. And I know it's a small thing and it sounds, obviously there's like numbers of like financial success too, but like the feeling of success for me was waking up and having breakfast at home with like a hot cappuccino at home and not having to rush out the door first thing in the morning, and just having the freedom to be in control of my schedule more so. Now, of course, now like having a team and running a company that looks, and 2 kids, it's a little different. But I think the choice of how to start my day, end my day, control my schedule, that for me has always been directly related to what I define as success. Is just the time and the freedom.
It's so true, because you're not answering to anybody. I mean, now you have partners, you have clients, you have you have kids, you have plenty of people to answer to, but like, I'm sure not like a boss ahead.
Yeah, so it's like just being able to choose to say, like, I need to not do this afternoon because of what. And even for me, like making those choices, I waited till I was married for 7 years before we had our first child. And
wow,
I wanted my life to be set up where like I had hit a certain point in my career where I was able to then be like, okay, my son has a school concert, like I'm off, like I'm not available and I'm able to go. So because I knew I wanted to still work, that was very important to me because I love what I do. And so the balance for me of being able to have that flexibility but also do what I love and I'm passionate about, for me, is more of the definition of success versus like I bought my first house kind of thing. Like we're still renting and I'm happy to continue doing that right now.
I look at you and I'm like, no, I don't care if you own a house. I don't care what, and nobody in Hoboken like owns.
Well, exactly. That's
honestly. And when I meet moms in Hoboken, I go like feral for a mom of 2 in Hoboken, because I just like city moms is such a far concept to me. Like I'm like, oh my God, how do you do it in the city? There's no space, all that. We'll get into that. Yeah. But no, that's the same with me. I'm like, the flexibility I've realized is like what is successful. Like we can walk our dog. We don't have to have a dog walker, even though lately I feel like we need help. But
help is a good thing too.
We can walk our dog. Like when we eventually have kids, we'll be able to attend their things. It's the flexibility of it all, which I feel like a lot more people have now after the pandemic. But
definitely.
That's what success is. It's not a yacht. It's not.
It's true. And I think that for me, like that was sort of what has always been the guiding thing for me to continue to pursue, and is like the marker of like, okay, if I make this next choice, will I still be able to have that flexibility and success? And once I got that, then there's been the financial goals and things like that have come with it, which I also still have, and like I'm very open about like talking about money and all of that. I think is super important, especially for women. So I'm not trying to say that that's like not something that that comes into play.
Totally.
But it's also not in place. Like, I don't want to lose the flexibility just for the money, if that makes sense.
No, totally. It's all a balance. My mom used to always say everything in moderation.
Yes,
and I'm trying to
channel that. Trying to live that.
all the time, trying. Where was I? Oh, so the transition when you did leave, sorry, I kind of cut you off and we went a whole different way. But when you did leave, for me, for example, I left my full-time job back in February and all summer, I lived my life during the summer. I traveled. I've been working like financially this year ever since I left. I've been fine. But more recently, I'm realizing that like I've gone through some sort of major identity crisis slash shift. Like, I associated my identity so much with like being in media, in the corporate world. And I guess it's affecting me now with seasonal depression and everything. More recently, I'm like, who am I now? Like, what's next? I don't have a boss telling me what to do. I don't have like a whole team guiding me. I have my management team, but like I don't have, I just don't have like coworkers. I don't have happy hours. Like I saw all my old coworkers at the Christmas party and I was like, should I have had a Christmas? I don't. And I was like, where was my holiday party? Yeah. So did you go through any sort of like transition?
Yes.
Or?
I love that you brought this up because it's a weird – we spend our whole lives with a lot of structure, right? Like we grow up, we go to school, and like September comes and then it's like Monday through Friday, let's wait for the weekend and all of that. And that's like very programmed, I think, into us. And then if you work in corporate or like then I kept working in a school, it was like the most structure. Literally, I could be midway through eating my lunch. And if like the bell rang, I was like, I guess I'm done eating my lunch. Yeah. And to then be handed so much freedom. Ugh. I felt like I went through, honestly, probably like a 2-year period where I like my inbox was cleaned out. My classes were planned. Like I had done everything. And then I was like, but it's like 9 a.m. and I have nothing to do or nowhere to be. Can I sit and rest? Like, what do I do? Right. And I think it's this feeling of like, oh wait, I felt like I was like being like, bad for like taking a Friday off. Like someone was gonna catch me in the fact that I like wasn't working hard or wasn't hustling. It's just such a strange mental shift to be given flexibility. But then what happens too is that if you don't make time, I found, at least for me, for that intentional rest, you're also working more than ever. I was like working weekends, all of it, like I was teaching on the weekends and doing workshops. Like when you start working for yourself, you're also never not working. And so if you don't take time, I think, to if it's Friday from 8 to 12, which is like when most people are in the office still, but that's when it works for your schedule, then you just never rest. And I think that took me a long time to kind of reform that structure for myself, part one. And also I think what was hard too is I agree with you is that you don't have you have a built-in support system when you have coworkers. Like it's crazy to think like my coworkers when I was a teacher, they were all at my wedding. I saw them every day. Yeah. And I here and there message with some of them, but like by convenience, I just don't really see them anymore. And so there was also a period of like creating a community of other people who were in a similar field, life station, like it's very, and that's not that easy to find, I think, when you first go out on your own, because you're not in that same kind of corporate routine. And so it can be a little lonely at first, I found, for sure. And there was definitely a period of that. This will be like a full 10 years in 2025 since I left. So I've like gotten there, and now I also have like a team now of people and teachers that like once we opened our studios, I feel like I had more people around and was creating that workplace environment for other people. Totally. But it is still a weird space to be like, oh wait, like I have to make this decision. Like, and I guess it's just that whatever I say goes. Like, that's a weird thing too. It's so weird, like not having like that's the thing. I was like always pulled into meetings, like team brainstorms, even though they were like pointless meetings half the time. Sure. But like, as I'm still like, oh, now I have to make the decisions. But I think you hit the nail on the head with the last thing too, is like finding that community is with the people that are in kind of your same life stage and whatnot. Yes.
And I think that applies to our listeners too, like whether they're leaving their jobs and becoming full-time entrepreneurs or whether they're just like gals living life, because we always get questions on like, how do I make friends in this stage of life?
Yeah.
Like I'm in my 30s or I'm in my late 20s. How am I supposed to like make new friends that like align with me now? Do you have any tips for just like finding that community or like?
Yeah. So I think one big thing too is that I think it's important to think about the community you want to create. Like what life do you actually want to be living? Like the best version of your life, because I had at the time when I was a teacher, and I had very wonderful coworkers, but once I decided I didn't want to do that anymore, it wasn't serving me to even stay in that community. Like it wasn't that they're great people, but I had to start being like, oh, I need to seek out friends in a community of mostly, women who are living in a way that I aspire to be. Yeah, like to make a community of people for like where I want to go, not where I am.
Yes.
And I think it's a little bit like putting yourself out there, like going to a networking event or a wellness event. I actually cold turkey at the time when I left my job. Actually, I did it before I left my job. Do you know Jen from Hoboken Girl?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever actually met her in person, but I feel like we're like internet besties because we're always DMing.
So I was the first person she ever hired on her team way back in 2015. And I ran events for her
Hoboken
in this
Girl
whole
is like famous
in our area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the Hoboken.
And she's built this incredible local media company, but she was also in education at the time.
Oh my God.
I like sent her literally a cold email when I was like, hey, I am a teacher and I want to make a career change. Like, I love what you're doing. If you ever need help, I'm a good writer. Like, just put myself out there. And she called me and was like, hey, I'm actually also in education. I don't do this full time yet. And that was a shared thing. And then I worked with her. And through that, I feel like I got to meet other people and we supported each other. And she was still is like such a good friend and support system. But I think that one step of just like sending an email to someone and be like, she might read this and be like, what a weirdo. But I think we get into like our late 20s and our 30s and it feels like, I mean, girls can be mean, right?
And so we get embarrassed
that thing of like,
randomly.
Exactly.
And I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? We're all going to die at the end of the day. Not at the end of the day, but like at the end of our lives. Not wishing
not the end of today.
But we're like, that's the thing. I'm like, any good thing, I realized like any good break or thing or direction or like thing that set me on a good life path direction, I've gotten because I've put myself out there. Like what's the worst that can happen? What, they say no and then you
one of my like
kindly
best friends
away.
In life now that I made as an adult, she graduated from yoga teacher training a little bit before I did. And she was like teaching classes. And I literally was like, hey, I'd love to find out how you're actually getting all these classes. Would you be willing to like have a drink with me one night? We're now still like, I'm literally officiating her wedding this year.
Oh
like
my God.
and I think it's because I said, would you mind talking with me? And I mean, I'm sure for you, it's probably the same. Like if someone DMs me or asks me, I'm less available right now for like quick pick your brain coffee dates just because I'm with my kids. I'm like super busy. But I'm never like, oh my God, I can't believe this person asked me if I'd want to grab coffee. Like, I'm like, oh my God, what an honor. I wish that I had more time. But like, I think creating that community just comes from putting yourself out there and understanding it's okay. And listen, maybe there's like some people that are crappy and maybe you get embarrassed, but like you can be embarrassed.
Yeah,
like, it's fine.
Whatever.
It's okay.
Whatever.
You get embarrassed for a second and move on.
No, and it's so funny because the whole like pick your brain coffee date thing, I love, and that's like how I like got throughout my career. Yeah. Like that's how I got jobs. That's how I got in. Like you had to know somebody to get in. And I was a big asker of like, hey, so now whenever somebody asks me, I really try to do my best to like make time for them and do it. But it's funny because I don't know why. Like I feel like that was such a millennial thing. Like I feel like we all did that to like get ahead, like the LinkedIn era.
I know.
But like for some reason, like nowadays it's not cool to do. And I'm like, no, do it.
Just
like,
do it.
Just do it. Like do it with purpose. Don't just like, I've had the people that have like asked to pick my brain and then they're just sitting there and I feel like I'm leading the conversation and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Also, I think there's a difference between picking the brain and asking for free consulting, right? Like it's like, because I have had that too where they're like, I'd love to pick your brain and basically get like a marketing plan for my business that I'm launching. And I'm like, that's like you need to pay me for consulting.
Yeah.
But like if you're genuinely just trying to build community and you want to hear someone's story, like ask someone for coffee, ask them questions. How did you get where you are? Like be interested. And I think people are way more willing to help, I think, than we give them credit for. And just, like just showing up at things, meeting people that way. I think that's the way to do that. And especially if you're looking to go like better yourself in some way, whether that's that you're like, oh, I want to go work for myself, or you're like, I love my corporate job, but I just also am passionate about XYZ and I want to develop more of that in my life. Anyone who's like trying to level up their life wants other people who are on that same journey, And I think it's like, so it always feels good to meet and connect with people who are doing that too.
Yeah. I love this. Okay. Before we get into, because I need to get to the money stuff, which is going to be so fascinating, but quickly before we get into that, so you're obviously a mom of 2. You do so much. We ask like all our moms, I don't know if this is like wrong to ask moms, but we end up asking all the moms that we have on, like, how do you like do it? And do you have help? Because I think like that transparency is so important to them, because we do have moms listening.
100%. I do have help. Okay. And I think I like to be very honest about that.
Where are the kids?
Because I went through a phase where I felt very guilty about saying that, because people would like look. I don't know. That? I think there's this thing. I had heard it even before becoming a mom. Like when I would look at it, or people would say, "Oh yeah, but she has help." Because it's like you look at someone who's like doing like really a lot of stuff, and they're like, "Oh yeah, she can do it, but she has help," and I'm like, "Of course she has help. Like why is that?" Because it's impossible to do everything yourself.
I almost think moms sometimes like think it's like, oh, well, I look really like privileged and spoiled. But it's like, you work your ass off. You rake in cash for the fam. Like, why the fuck shouldn't you be able to spend some of that on help?
And I think too, I've been like looking at and listening to a lot of people talk about this so yes, I have a babysitter a nanny who's with our kids. She's amazing and wonderful and is like part of our family. She's with us like 35 hours per week. Okay. And that I also recognize is like I have a lot of flexibility in my job. I don't have to work 40 hours to make a full-time income. And so like I'm able to make a full-time income but not work traditional for like full-time hours.
The dream.
And I fully acknowledge that is not the case for everyone. And I also worked really, really hard to make that happen. And I was very intentional about that. I was very intentional about when we decided to try to start to have kids for some of that to be in place. All of those things are true, right? And I think there is kind of this feeling of like women – I've heard this conversation recently. I saw someone post about this. She posts all this good content about like how – her childcare costs right now, like her job is not necessarily covering or is like basically like for her to work is like all of it's going to their childcare. And so people will say like, so what's the point? And her argument was like, well, the point is that if I want to work because I love my job. Right. If I stop working right now, and not that and also stay-at-home moms are the like literal superheroes of everything and have the hardest, I think, job in the world. As someone who had to be quarantined a few times with my children during the pandemic, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to like, for me, I like to be able to work. But what she was saying was like, I'm not leaving now because if I leave my job and take all these years off, that puts me behind in my career for when I choose to go back. So she's like, yes, my income might be replaced now, but then I'm not going to get a raise. When I restart, I'm like taking all that time. She's like, so I'm still working because I'm working for future me.
The future.
And like for the future version of my kids when I want to have the double income and they're in school and those childcare costs go away. And now we're back to having the double income. And everyone's journey and path on that is different. But my point is I think it's like to judge people for saying like they have help. You don't know. It might be that someone's choosing that for their own mental health to keep something that they're super passionate about alive. And I just think that it's like motherhood's hard. Being a woman is hard. The expectations are impossible. So like I think cheering each other on is way like a better route.
Better than just like judging each other for
like
having
I hate
help.
that like, oh, but she has help. Like that's an excuse for someone to like that's the only reason.
Well, and this is gonna sound successful. This is gonna sound like bad. I don't know how to word this correctly, whatever. But my thing is I'm like one day like I would almost trust, like, not that I would ever trust anybody. I'm not a mom yet, so I really don't know if this will ever change. But not that I would ever trust anybody else, like, with raising my kids better than I can raise my kids. However, I've seen, like, my sister's first nanny, for example, like, was skilled in childhood development.
Yeah.
And literally my nephew's like a genius. And a lot of that is probably credited to her, like, teaching him how to speak before he was like 2 months old.
Well,
but
my kids have such beautiful, like, literally, like, loving relationships with we've had 2 different nannies, like, one who was with us and who was wonderful, and then she, like, was young and moved on to do another job, but she's like I also officiated her wedding. Like, I feel like she is family to us, and what a wonderful thing for, like, my children to be able to have another loving person.
I love that you're life. Like the wedding officiant for all these people, by the way. Sorry.
That's another random thing that I just had someone who was like, oh, you do those? Like, can I give your card out? I'm like, no, I don't, like, do this as a job.
It's another side hustle.
I just do it for friends.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I think so yes, I guess the long answer to that is I do have help. My husband is also a really hands-on dad, and, like, we're true partners in that. And I think that that's been and so supportive of me continuing to pursue career stuff. And it's important to both of us that we, like, have our identities as each other, have our identity as parents, and then as husband and wife. I think it takes work, but it's possible, you know. Yeah. It's important.
Is there just, like, a number one tip, like, this is the thing I would die without, like, just for, like, balancing it all as a mom that you do?
So the first thing is remembering, I think this whole idea of, like, I think you can do it all, but not all at the same time. Like, there's going to be seasons where, like, stuff doesn't happen. Like, I don't take as many yoga classes right now, like, as a student of yoga, like, as I did before I had kids. Like, it just doesn't happen. And that will happen one day again. And this is, like, a season of life that, like, I just don't have the time to do that. And I know when my kids are in school in, like, 5 years, they're going to be like, Mom, we want nothing to do with you. And I'll be back to
bored with
all
the yoga
of my
classes.
Like, exercise classes. But I think, do I take some? Yes. And are they treats when that happens? For sure. Okay. But I think just, like, knowing that you're not going to have as many hours in the day. But for me, it's also just trying to be present and understand, like, the fact that my son turns 5 soon, I'm like, how has I've been a mom for half a decade. I feel like that was 3 seconds ago. And so just trying to understand that, like, you don't get this time back ever.
Right.
And being okay with the fact that, like, no, I don't, like, lift weights as much as I did before I couldn't, but I still do it sometimes. And I think, like, it's progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
And I feel like just understanding that is you're not
labeling yourself as, like, somebody who rarely does yoga or somebody who rarely lifts weights.
Exactly.
Like, that's where my husband and I will, like, get in these ruts where we're not working out as much. And then, like, I'll catch myself being like, maybe I'm just not someone who works out. And it's like, no, it just means you're not right now.
Right now. Exactly. The right now piece, I think, is so important and key because, like, find the little things that you can do. But yeah, like, we create these identities for ourselves. And I think for me, I was very afraid I actually was very scared to become a mom because I was like, I don't want to lose myself only in motherhood.
Speaking to me.
I just felt like I was like, I don't want to only be a mom. Yeah. And I still feel like that was a natural way for me to feel. And now it's my favorite title that I have. But also, I'm not only mom. Like, I still have done those other things. Now, sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough as a mom. Sometimes I feel like I'm, like, leaving work early and not doing enough at work. Both of those are true. And it's just, that's it. Like, and it's okay to not be perfect in all of them all the time. Like, this is just the season of life that it is. And I think the idea of balance comes in that sometimes the balance is, like, being okay not being perfect at everything.
Amen.
And, like, that's just
is
what it is, you know?
Yes. Well, and you're in the thick of it. Your son is about to be 5 and your daughter is...
She just turned 2.
Oh, yeah. So this is
they're, like, little. Like, they need me right now, you know?
And like you said, like, they won't be this forever. So it's like, and you'll miss when they were, but once you're an empty nester one day.
Right. You're going to look back and, like, I'm so aware of that too. And the biggest other thing for me is I think I showered every day since my kids were born. And I know there's, like, this thing where it was like, There's just days like, and maybe for some people that's true. And I'm like, no, I'm going to shower every day. And I hated this idea because I used to hear people be like, or I'd see signs being like, I'm a mom. Like, I haven't showered in 4 days and I'm covered in spit up. And I was like, no matter how tired I was, like I could find 5 minutes to take a shower when we were sleeping. Right. So I've showered every day. I feel like that's like that. And listen, sometimes that was the win when my kids were like first born. Yeah. But that felt like I'm clean. Like I did get to shower. I felt like myself. Feel
like human. Yeah. I love that. I love the little tangible tips like that. My sister's was your first one was very profound compared to my sister when I had her on. She's a mom of 2. I remember she was just like, I order groceries, order groceries.
Oh my God. That's another thing that I started doing literally.
She's like, that's my mom tip.
This year I was like, why am I stressing myself out on a Saturday doing this? I started ordering groceries also.
Yeah. She was like, that's so my tip for having it all.
Yeah. That's a great tip, actually.
Yeah. I was like, no, those are all amazing tips. And like looking at somebody like you makes me actually excited to be a mom because there is so much like scary stuff out there about how you lose yourself and you lose your, but like, if this is what I'm signing up for, then yay.
Thank you. And you change. I'm not, I am, and I've leaned into that identity, but I also don't feel like I've lost myself in it. And I feel like that's I was very afraid of that piece.
Totally.
Thank you for saying that.
Of course. Thank you for being you. The money mentor stuff. Yeah. This is so fascinating to me. I've never even I probably have. I've never heard of a money mentor. Like, what is that?
So I think it's like, I've resisted. Really, this is like a newer thing that I'm trying to start leaning into in that I had a really tough relationship with money. Like I can say that now. And I was like very stuck in I shared that like when I left my job, I was like, I just need to replace my teaching income. And I did that successfully. But then I hit a point where I was doing a lot of what people from the outside would look at as like bigger successful things. Right. And I was still only making the money that I made when I left my teaching job. And I was like, man, like I'm working my ass off. I'm doing all this stuff. It feels like I should be able to do this. And so I started to dive into my whole money mindset and came to find that I had some serious issues with money and scarcity and my whole relationship around that. And I spent a number of years like really unpacking that and figuring out what they meant and trying to learn more about how to improve that. And I have, and that has changed my financial reality, which is exciting. But it's still, I'm like, I was the girl that would, like a few years ago, my husband was moving me like, we need to go over the budget. And I'd be like, no, I can't do that. I'm going to open up and like look at my credit card debt. And it's going to be, I would literally cry. Like it was
I
so
avoid
scary
like looking at my bank account, even though it's like not scary. Yeah. I avoid.
Yeah.
Wait,
same.
I did you a couple years ago. So this is like so fast. This we need a whole episode on, but I'm just taking for time. But this is like, okay, so what the scarcity aspect, I have that, and I don't know where it came from because I didn't grow up impoverished or anything, but I have this mindset of like there will never be enough. Like even if I make more, it's not enough. Is that scarcity, and why is that? Why do I have that?
I mean, it's different for everyone as to where it comes. I can tell you I also like grew up in a very just, I had a nice childhood. We didn't have a lot of money, but we were not impoverished. I came to find that I had things that I had grown up hearing all the time of like, oh, it must be so nice to have XYZ. And not in like a bad way. It was just like someone would have a nice car and it'd be like, oh, it must be nice to have that.
Totally.
And little things that were programmed in my brain, that phrasing where as I started to do this, it was like, yeah, but that's like passing off as if you could never have it.
Yes.
And that starts to like put in your mind that like that's for somebody else. And that what I came to realize was that I associated money with greed, if I'm being honest, for a while, where I was like, oh, well, really wealthy people are usually like greedy. And how many times have we heard like money is the root of all evil? Like that's very prevalent in society. There are really greedy people who do really bad things with money.
Oh, yeah.
And there are the Oprahs of the world who like are really rich and do really good things with money. Like money itself is not moral. People are moral. And it took me a long time to unprogram my brain. I think I was like scared to say that I wanted to make money because I felt like people would look at me and be like, she's pretentious, she's greedy, she's this, rather than like, she's brave. She wants financial control of herself and like be able to build a future for her family and all of that.
Especially as a woman too. Yes. You were not allowed.
That's kind of where that has come from. And I all in the last year, I feel like the DMs that I'd get from people, I'm like, I want to teach marketing strategy to yoga teachers. And they're like, hey, like, how do I just people started coming to me for advice about like manifestation and money. And I was like, am I the girl that people are asking for money advice? Like, where is this coming from? And so I've been leaning into that more and just trying to support yoga teachers, but women too, just in like having the confidence to say it's okay to say that you want to make more money. Yeah. And I think if more good, powerful women do that, like women do tend to be more giving with their money. And I think if we all can start just like taking control over that.
Yes. Amen to that. So with the money, like, so the mindset obviously is so important. I feel like it's more, you need more of like a growth mindset, right? Like, so, and maybe I am okay with that because I always check Mike on that. I'm like, you don't have enough of a growth mindset. Like, you need to think bigger. Yeah. And I'm a little bit delusional, but like sometimes it's good because sometimes, though. Yeah. And he's a little more logical. Yeah. Do you find that a lot? Is that like the woman is more?
Yes. So my husband's an engineer. He's an entrepreneur, but an engineer like initially, and he's very logical. And I do think you need the combo of both. Like, I think the mindset and the manifestation and all of that has to be there, but also you can't meditate your way to money. Like, then you also have to work. Right. And like work hard and learn the strategy and the tools and the numbers. And like, that is also a piece of it that's really empowering. And I think that's like the combo of both that really then starts to elevate and make all that happen.
What are some tips for manifesting money? Is that bad luck? Or is that a myth?
So
okay, never mind. It was a myth I like heard once and have been scared ever since. I know it's clearly not. It's clearly not.
I don't think so.
Okay, so manifesting, it's something's bad luck to like pray for money or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. I forget. But also like luck is whatever. But what is like a tip for doing that? Like, I know this is like a whole course and a whole thing, but like, do you have any
for like the manifestation piece?
Yeah, of it? Like how do we make more? How do those of us listening make money? How do we get rich?
So in terms of the mindset for money, for me, the biggest thing was one, doing the relationship. There's a book by Jen Sincero called "You're a Badass at Making Money."
Okay, no,
it changed my whole life. This was like what kickstarted it. I recommend it to, especially to women. I feel like there are a lot of money books are written by men, and I read some of them, but it was just like she is like, it's written by women. She's funny. I've done courses and coaching with her now, and she's wonderful. Get that book first, is first and foremost. That like kicked off me doing this deep dive. Yeah, you're a badass at making money. But a big thing, and one of the things she talks about is like developing a money mantra that feels good in your body. That like I early on was like, I have scarcity stuff I have to get over. I need to start to really believe that I can actually make money. And I put it as the wallpaper on my phone. I wrote it down places, and I said it even when I didn't believe it, until I eventually tricked my brain into being like, oh, I believe this now. And
I love affirmations and mantras
that. Honestly, it sounds small, but I feel like it's super, super, super important to do that, to just get yourself into the space of like believing it's possible for you to make more.
What's an example of a money mantra? Like, I am a millionaire?
I think one that she says is like, money flows to me easily. I love money and money loves me. Like it's like sounds simple and like and it feels goofy like to say it at first, but then like I believe in this. Eventually to be able to sit and be like, I love making money. Like how many women can say that confidently?
No,
not like it. And even still, like I like to talk about this, and I'm still like, oh, does that feel cringy to say? Because people say that it is, but like, what's wrong with that?
No, and like, that too, especially if you're like the breadwinner, God forbid, they never admit. And it's like, maybe it's because the man's not letting them. But like, that's the thing. It's like, we should be proud of saying that. And
also, we literally all need it. Yeah, every single person in this world, like money is what you need to buy food. Totally. It's what you need to pay rent or a mortgage. Like we all have to have it.
People always say like money doesn't buy happiness. I agree, but I think money buys comfort. Yes. And comfort is happiness.
I can tell you, as someone who had medical debt and was dead broke, like got sued by my doctor, negative bank account at that time.
Sued by your doctor?
Yeah, it was a whole
That's insane.
But like I've been really broke. Like tens of thousands of dollars of debt, credit, all of the things.
There we go.
And I've been not broke.
Sure.
I was happy in both seasons. It's way better to not be broke.
Yeah.
I think money doesn't buy happiness. Of course, right? There's really wealthy people who are very unhappy. Like it doesn't come from there. But you're right. It buys comfort and it relieves a lot of stress. And like it can contribute to de-stressing things so you have space to focus on happiness.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's important to talk about.
Yeah. Well, and I have so many, like, I feel like this narrative of like, find a man who is rich or like find a finance bro who makes money has become like cool and trendy. And listen, if you find a finance bro, good, more power to you.
Yep.
I was always like, I had, my mom was always working full time. My parents got a divorce. My mom was able to like support herself on her own. I always had my mom who was like supporting us, supporting her, my dad too, obviously. But I was like, that I think made me always want to just like make my own money. Yeah. I never want to be told by a man, no, you can't buy whatever. Like I want to be able to buy what I want. Yes. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to, my thing, I was like, you know those things when it's like when I win the lottery, you'll see signs and it's like the signs are like bags and stuff. Mine aren't going to be like nice things. Mine is going to be transportation everywhere where I won't have to like trudge in the rain out. Like the transportation is money for me.
But
is
that's
success.
Like I feel like another important thing is having those little things of like, what would it look like for me to what is the thing that I want to feel into that's going to be like, oh, this would make me feel successful. It goes back to that thing, like the flexibility, the transportation, like what I knew I wanted for a long time. I was like, I want space in my apartment. I want to be able to have a city apartment where there's space for my kids. And that was what I attached to as like a goal, because a number for me, like to be like, I want 6 figures. It's like, okay, well,
it's tough.
So, and then you get it and you're like, well, this doesn't feel any different, you know? And it's like, but what does feel differently is like, what is it that you want to do with that money? Like I would, like my next thing is like, I want to be able to retire my mother-in-law and my parents, like fully make sure that they feel good. Like that feels good to me and is like a good motivator for why I want to make more money. Yeah. And I think that is also kind of like in terms of a tip is like starting to, what are you going to do with it? Because that's all money is. It's an exchange of energy for things. It's not. It's not just numbers, right? It's like we need this because what do we want to do with the money that we have? Yeah. And I think that that's an important piece of it also.
I love that. Because then it's not just being like, I hope I have 500 grand saved by this
like
date. It's like, no, I want.
For what? Like, what does that
I want to invest it.
And maybe for someone, like there's a safety component. Like I will say like that for me was never like, because to your point, it's like then I always feel like I won't have enough because if it's just a number, then you're like, okay, but what if that goes away? Now I need 750 grand. You know, like right. It's so to me, it's like what kind of stuff what kind of life are you looking to create? That number is different for. If you live in New York City, you need a lot more than if you live somewhere else. So numbers are so arbitrary in that way. It's like, what life do you want to create for yourself?
Yeah. I just love this. I love the talk about money because it is important to talk about. I'm going to do a money mantra when I go home. I'm going to make my money mantra and make it seen everywhere. Do you have any other like tips? I kind of have been cutting you off because I'm just so passionate about this. Do you have any other tips about like how to manifest money?
So in terms of manifesting it, I think it's right. So the money mantra. I also think it's starting to think outside. So like I said, you can't just like meditate your way there. So I think it's like attaching it to something that you want, thinking in that like morning routine, starting to think about it as if you have it. So for example, that could look like, okay, instead of like, oh, I really want a beach house. It's like, thank you so much for my beach house. It feels so good for me to stand in there. I'm so grateful that I have this money that has like given me this thing, and acting as if it's already happened, because that puts your brainwaves literally at a vibration that starts to attract experiences, opportunities, things to make that happen. In terms of manifestation, I'm a big believer in like some of the science behind it. We're quite literally like we need to start our awareness. We can be at any given time, a human can be aware. I forget the exact thing, but like there's like 900 different things that we can in a single second can let into our awareness. And what do you choose to let into yours? When you start to put yourself into like the thank you for my beach house or thank you for whatever that my transportation that I get to take and I never have to walk into the rain, when that's where your mind is and your energy is focused on, then the stuff you become aware of is the opportunities that are going to help you to create that. Because where like your brain doesn't understand time or space. Like if you have a bad dream, like you wake up and think that it really happened, it didn't, but your brain doesn't understand time or space, and your body reacts in kind to that. And so starting to act as if you already have those things, being grateful for those things, helps your mind to manifest them into reality, because it literally will present you with the opportunities that you need to get there. And I know this sounds very woo and witchy.
No, listen, I love
really
it.
Promise
there is
that
a science
like I'm like a
behind
walking example that it's true. I teach a vision boarding workshop, like usually every year.
This is perfect time because it's 2020.
I know.
Oh, this is the
so
perfect
fun.
time for this episode, this workshop. Where can we find that workshop?
So it's actually going to be free.
Oh.
I'm going to do it online just for people to try and like
because I did it wrong this past year, so I need your
to do it. So I'm going to do it on. Sometimes I do it in person, but I'm going to do a free one on January 8th.
Okay.
At 7:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
I can like send you. I don't like the link to it and like how to sign up. But I want to do it. But one of the things I taught it last year in person. And there was a girl that took it, and she came up to me this past summer, and she was like, I have to tell you something. I thought you were full of shit. I was like, I totally get it. And she was like, I didn't believe you. She was like, I was in the middle of a breakup, and I was like in a job I hated, and I had this whole vision board about like traveling while I was in love and all this stuff. And I was like, And she's like, I just got back from Greece. I met someone. I'm in a new job. She was like, and I didn't think about my board. I got home and I was like having sadness over like that tripping over. And she's like, I was sitting in my room and I looked at my board and like half of it's come true. And I was like, I have heard this story so many times, because vision boards, all they are is like taking out of your brain what you want to have happen. Yeah. And then that's exactly it. Like you trick yourself into believing that it's possible. Oh, I half made one at the beginning of this year and then like didn't look at it ever since. And I didn't. That's okay though.
This was the first year that I didn't physically write down my goals. And I swear it sent me for a whole tizzy of the whole year. Like I'm like 2025 is my year.
Yeah.
And I need to like writing down my goals was the and I did it the year before and I accomplished a lot of them.
Yeah. It's because it starts to just put forth in your brain like these are the things I want to attract into my life, and so give me experiences and let me make choices to support and do that, you know. And I think you can talk about it whether it's like vision boarding or meditation or all the things, but really all we're doing is saying like, hey, there's a lot of stimuli in the world, which ones do I focus on? And when you intentionally choose for a way to set those goals, that's really what manifestation is. It's not this like just praying things into reality. It's you have a lot of power in your words, your thoughts, the people that you connect with. We were talking earlier about how do you create community? Well, become friends with people who are doing the things that you're doing. Then that's how you start to create all of that kind of a reality, you know?
That's so true. For anybody out there who like thinks manifestation is too woo-woo-y, that what you just said about there's a lot of stimuli in the world, we're just choosing what to focus on is literal manifest, and that's like that brings it back down for the logical people who don't understand it.
No, it's so true, because it's like sometimes you need the explanation of why something works, and it becomes something like if you're someone that's like, I really want to be on a health kick. Well, if you continue like just going to the bar every Thursday, Friday, and don't get me wrong, I love a glass of wine, but like if you just continue doing that and surround yourself with people who aren't healthy, guess what? Like you're not gonna become healthy. Like that's how it works. Like if you want to manifest health, you also have to then say like, oh, I'm going to go to a Pilates class or go to the gym or whatever, talk to people about healthy eating. And guess what? All of a sudden, like that, you manifest that into reality.
True. Oh my God. Well, Kate, thank you so much. I feel inspired. I feel energized. I feel motivated. I feel like I'm ready to manifest. I'm doing your vision workshop. Where can everybody just like find you and soak in this energy?
Thank you. So I'm on Instagram at Kate.Lombardo. And then YogaRenew, I'm on there a lot too at YogaRenew. And YogaRenew.com is our website for any of our classes, teaching both the studio and the online stuff. And if you follow me on Instagram, I'll post about that vision boarding thing as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And have a great rest of your day.
I know. And happy 2025. We're going to kick that off.
Happy 2025. This episode is about to be one of our best performing because everybody's going to be like, make more money.
I hope so.
Become a thriving mother. All the things. At least I am.
Thank you. And your voice held up. You sound great.
I know. Somehow. I'm like.
Your throat chakra got it out there.
And my laugh sounds insane.